Good morning, good morning. Um, 9 o'clock PST, 9 o'clock in the morning here on a Good Friday morning. I did not plan on doing this, but I read a comment on a post I did on Facebook from my oldest son, who is feeling less than today because of the politics and the debate. And so the energies, so let me step back a bit. The energies have been really challenging, and I totally understand, because I had a couple of days where I just felt I was so freaking tired, so tired, and tired, and I'm like, I'm sick of this. You know what? I'm sick of this shite. I'm sick of people who will vote against their best interest. I'm sick of people's meanness against humanity. That's just how I felt. It was a beautiful day the other day, and I went to go, and I was tired, and I thought, well, if I go for a walk, if I go for the walk in the sunshine, that I will feel better, because it's always my go-to place. So I got out the car and I walked 50 yards, and that was it. And I turned back and said, I'm not doing this. And I went and sat in the car, and I thought, I'm just so tired. And I came home, and my husband said, how was your walk? And I said, very short. I'm going to bed. And I slept for 3 hours. Now that's the whether if you believe it or not, and this has been my experience for much of my life, adult life that I can remember, and probably before that, where I feel that deep tiredness. It's in my bones. It just drags me. And I'm not depressed particularly all the time. Um, was I depressed the past maybe one day where I was, yeah, tired that. And I'm feeling, is this depressed, or am I just picking up on the energy? And as I say that, I'm hearing, you're just picking up on the energies out there, Linda. That's all it is. And you're just trying to move that energy through you, because that's the ability that many of us have, is to move the energies. And we all take turns doing it. We can't all feel like this at the same time. The world would come to a grinding halt, and we'd have a Hunger Games situation on your hand, and people sitting in the corner, sucking on their thumbs. Truly, we just couldn't do it all at the same time. And so some people will not feel it as strong. They just won't, because that's not their journey on planet Earth. And some of us do, because it's part of, doing the cards, part of your intuitive ability, part of being an empath. That's just, or a healer, if you do any energy work, if you, not even that, if you're someone that's working with social worker, a doctor, a nurse, a teacher, anyone working with people directly like that, you're likely an empath, and you take on a lot. And some of you are very aware of your healing abilities, and some not so much. It's more subtle. So I got on because my son was feeling less than, and he wrote brilliantly about the debate, and I get it. I just get it. And I guess with more years on the planet, you just a totally different spot in my life. So I have two sons. One has a brand new baby, and the joy of that is, and he's in a smaller community. The joy of that and is lifts him up. And my oldest son is in Ontario, is in a very conservative small town, works at a big university with students that he manages their recreational facility, which is a huge job. because that involves volleyball courts and football fields and the pools and the basketball courts, everything, like, and the students that work for him that are on the front desk checking students in and out, it's just very, I don't know how he does it. And university life is an interesting animal for sure. So, but he watched the debate and he did not feel that Carney knew the position that he was in as a father of a 10-year-old who's, struggling, I guess, in some ways to make ends meet. Part of the, and very much thought that Carney and Singh would be an amazing team, which that I decided watching the debate was actually the case. They'd be freaking amazing together. And there was a really, you could see there was already a relationship there and some respect there, so that was kind of cool to see. David looks at where Carney is now and not where he has come from, so he's forgetting that Carney had came from a small town, teachers, school teachers as his parents, that he got scholarships to universities, which means if you got a partial scholarship, you still had to work. You still had to work to pay for your university and your housing and all that kind of stuff. And he had siblings, so it wasn't like he was an only child with all that is conferred upon him. So he knows, and he's just not the kind of politician that's a storyteller like Poilievre is. Poilievre is just storytelling, just like Trump did. He's telling this story. He's telling his stories, right? And Carney's not particularly a storyteller in that way. He's calmer, gentler, quieter. In his head, to me, I could just see his head's like click, 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 and you can see it because he actually has plans. So he's been thinking about what he's going to do for Canadians. I saw that in his closing statements. He truly has this strong conviction that he can pull this off, that he can make Canadian lives better. He can put Canada in a really, really good position. And I believe him because he's got the experience and expertise to do that. But he can look like someone that doesn't know what the average kind of guy is doing. And yet he's very much kind of an average kind of guy when you see him in different interviews. So if you don't see some of these interviews, then you don't really get a sense of who he is behind what he's, some of the persona. No, I shouldn't say persona. There's no persona to him. So, I thought I got to come on for a quick morning, very quick. I'm already 8 minutes in. I don't know how quick this is going to be. Pamela voted today. Yay, Pamela! Thank you. We're going out today too to vote. So nice. That's my first comment ever doing a live, but I'm on so early because I got bedhead. I got coffee in my hand. So, for my son, and I think it hits the young men differently. I do. And the reason being that these young men of a certain age, and now he's 47, so he's not young, but his daughter's 10 years old. So you're in a position where you think that because this is our society, right? You think at some point that you'll be somewhere different than where you are, that you will have more, that you'll, all those kind of markers of success. And he is successful in what he's done. I'm extremely proud of everything he's done. Pamela's in Cambridge and she voted. Yay, Pamela. And I'm so, so very proud of everything he's accomplished because he's not had an easy life. I was divorced from his father. I had to leave him at 3 years old with his father because a lawyer advised me otherwise, and it turned out to be really bad advice. And then, no, this story is long and complicated. And at 13, his 13, he came to live with us at the same time that we moved to BC, which was just brilliant because we all got a respite and a reset. And that was great for all of us. So from that, he is where he is now, where he's a homeowner, married, got a 10-year-old daughter. He would prefer, he'd prefer a home in a different area. I don't blame him. And he's had help, which is brilliant. And I adore him. I adore my younger son as well. They're both amazing young men. But right now, David is the one that wrote a brilliant comment on one of my posts. 2 brilliant comments. He's very thoughtful. Probably has, I think, ADHD. Had difficulty expressing himself in writing, in school. And boy, has that changed. He's really expresses himself really well now and articulately. And yeah, I'm giving him a shout out because he deserves it. Maybe he's seeing this, maybe he's not. But when I see what he writes, how thoughtful he is, how insightful he is, how tapped in he is. So that meant to me when I read these comments and one of them, and I thought, that was it. I got nudged. I really got nudged. Get on there and draw some cards for these people that the men or the whoever is feeling the way that they're feeling today, which is how I felt a couple of days ago, perhaps, but with more experience, it didn't. I didn't go down any rabbit holes. And I can't say that I've gone down a rabbit hole that he has gone down a rabbit hole. I don't know that for a fact. I was going to pick up the phone and I thought, I'm just going to leave it. I want to draw a card. I want this to be a little bit different than I normally do. So, for every, now I'm going to do one specifically for him first, and then a general one. And feel free to comment if you want me to draw you a card. I will happily do that. I'll be on for a little while if that's what you want. If not, I will do my bit and get off. Okay. Deep breath. I'm calling on all my guides and angels to be around me as I do this. For the best one, a message for David. Okay. Make no judgments. And so, isn't that a hard one for us to do? So, in regards, this is saying, I'm hearing, we don't always know what's going on. We don't always know what is behind the scenes and what are behind people's words and thoughts. So we're to make no judgment. We can observe, we can make conclusions, but not to make any judgments. Because there's far more going on than we even know. So that is behind the scenes, the maneuvering that's going on, the, not correlations, the relationships that are being firmed up. But set all of that aside. This is about knowing that there is a grand plan and that it's playing out right now. And to trust in that plan like you have trusted in life before. If you look back and say, well, that turned out better than I thought it would. That look where I am now, despite everything. So that you need to remember all of that. And that's where we are as a collective right now. and each individual is as individually having to remember it's all going to be okay. And we don't know what that looks like, and we don't know what that means as we move forward, and we don't know what it's going to look like as it unfolds, as every piece falls. It's like a puzzle piece falls into place, and another puzzle piece falls into place, and it's going to take a while. So suddenly, I'm seeing this grand map of Canada, all these puzzle pieces and lights, points of light just coming off the flippin' puzzle of Canada, shining lights, and that takes time. I mean, they're already there. It's already there, but it's as if they will get brighter and stronger as the country begins to feel even more united and unified. And that's the blessing in this. That's the blessing in this. So take that as you will. So, Pamela, I would like a card. Anything specific, Pamela? So as Pamela's deciding that, I'm going to pull a card for just generally for people who are like, I'm voting. Do I know who I'm voting for? Am I undecided? Am I clear on my intent when I vote? And I'm hearing how freaking important this is to have your intent when you vote, when you have your intent when you decide. Not that you're knee-jerk responding to something, that you have an intent, that you're voting for the person that's best going to unify, and move our country forward. The best one to do that, the one that does. You already know how I feel about this. But everyone else got different feelings. Or not. You kind of make your tribe. And so I have a feeling most of my tribe is Liberal or NDP. And maybe a few conservatives might end up popping in and seeing this and thinking, oh, she's a wacko as well as being a Liberal. So Pamela says, whatever I choose. It's okay. So choosing the best card for Pamela. Here we go. Don't want you to see that. I don't want to see it. So I'm shuffling the cards. On a good Friday morning when the sun is shining, it's freaking beautiful. And I was out walking in it the other day, and I got way further than yesterday. I got way further than 50 yards. I got 6,000 steps in, which in my knees is like amazing. No, not amazing. Pretty darn good. Amazing would be 10,000 steps, but I would be a little bit sore this morning if that were the case. So, Pamela. Pick for Pamela. Take the lead, Pamela. So, I have, with this card, take the lead. There's a ladder. There's a moon. Or there's light. Might even be a spaceship. I don't know. Someone's holding the ladder for you, so you have support. And you also have people watching what you're doing. See, there's a little figure there watching. And someone's holding the ladder, so that means you have support. And then someone's climbing up the ladder, and that's you. You're climbing up the ladder. You're taking the lead in your life. So I'm hearing it's time for you to take the lead in your life. Not to be afraid to use your voice. Not to be afraid to say what you've been thinking. Not to be afraid to take an action that you've maybe been holding yourself back from. Or this could affirm that it is what you're speculating on is a good thing to do. Yeah, what you're thinking of doing would be an excellent thing to do, even if it's just kind of a whisper in the back of your mind. But it feels like it's like kind of nudging its way forward, like, pay attention to me. And you're like, can I really do this? And and I'm hearing like, yes, there's a big, big yes, all capital letter. Yes, you can do this. The world's waiting for you to do this. So I hope that makes sense to you, and I hope that makes a difference. So let me know if that makes sense to you in the comments. And if you want any clarification, I can pull a second card. So, Good Friday. I just read a blog of someone on Facebook who's doing the Camino Trail, which is a pilgrim's trail through France and Spain, and how they couldn't find anywhere to sleep for the night. All the hostels were filled. Note to self, if I ever do the Camino, don't do it over the Easter weekend. And so they were sitting on a church step. He went to the church and he was looking around at this church, at the beautiful, beautiful church, and at the figure of Christ. And so then, of course, he was musing about no place to sleep, that maybe they'd have to sleep on the church steps or in a field or whatever, right? So I thought he was saying how apt it was that this was happening on a Good Friday in Spain, in a small village where the pilgrims walk through. So everything, he said, was shut up. All the stores were shut, all the restaurants were shut, all the hostels were full, the hotel, whatever, everything was booked. There was no room at the inn. So I'm sure he and his girlfriend will do just fine. I would hope they have some blankets or something, or tarps to sleep outdoors if they need to. Note to self, maybe have a single man tent in your backpack if you do the Camino. So on the Good Friday, as many are, and even if you aren't religious, then it's always a time. Often people will travel to be with their families. Thanks, Pam, for the feedback on that. I'm glad you love the card. I hope it helps. This Good Friday is about families. Easter weekend's about families, and so of course early voting is this weekend, and there's some people that go, well, why did they do that? As if Carney had any say in it. He didn't. It's just it's just the way it works. And maybe by picking April 28th, I don't know whether he picked that or whether the federal government did. No matter one way or the other. But anyway, 3 days of early voting, 9 to 9 at the polls. Today's a holiday that some people... Does a holiday mean you don't vote? Does a holiday mean you don't go out there and have your say? That's the easiest day to do it. You can still go to church and do whatever you do and then vote before or vote afterwards. Yeah. So does a holiday mean you don't take the time to vote for what's going to happen next in Canada? Because by not voting, and for many years of my adult life, I couldn't vote in the federal election because I was a British citizen and not a Canadian citizen. And I'm a little embarrassed to say, I only got my Canadian citizenship. So this was weird because I was born in a place that there was a chance that maybe my dad could buy land in my name. And so that was kind of on the table, and then I never got my Canadian citizenship when it was really easy to do it, where my mom and dad, my sister, all went and did it very easily. And I didn't. So I only got my Canadian citizenship when we moved here in 2008 because crossing the border was... I'm just going to check my settings here, was always an issue because they'd be like, send me in, because I'm good, sorry, they would send me in to ask questions, and I'm on a legitimate British passport with a Canadian permanent residence card. So I would have to go in. It always it was no issue with it. It was just that I had to because when you're going through the border guards, the ones at the booths, they don't understand immigration at all. So they just send you in to someone else. And that someone else may not understand it either until they get their supervisor in that goes, "Oh no, it's good. Go, bye." But it all takes time. It's a pain in the neck. So then I said, I'm tired of this. Not that we crossed very often, but I was just thought, this is ridiculous. So I went and got my Canadian citizenship. Was coming back into the country by plane with my husband, and my permanent resident card was, I hadn't received any information on Canadian. I'd applied and done everything I had to do. Still in this permanent resident card, and I didn't know they expired, and it expired. And the guy at the airport said, "This is expired." And I said, "Pardon?" And he said, "It's expired." I said, "Oh." Well, I said, "Well, I've applied for my Canadian citizenship." He said, "Well, when will you get it?" And I said, "I have no frickin' idea. You don't know. You don't know what's going on." And so if you're on a permanent residence card, I really highly, highly recommend you pay attention to the date on that card. Much like you pay attention to a date on your passport, especially in these times. So that really nudged me. So when I went for my Canadian citizen, I'm rambling into this because there's a reason for it. When I went into the to swear an oath to the country, there were, I don't know, over 100 people there. It was very moving. I was surprisingly moved. I was surprised how moved I was by it. How all these people, it was a big deal. It was a big deal for them in a really good way. I don't know, like a way that was, and I could feel the beautiful energy in there, and I could feel how important it was for them. And so I really felt I was part of something special. So as soon as I could vote federally, I always voted locally, because you can as a permanent resident. You can vote for your mayor or whatever. As soon as I could vote federally, I voted every single year after that and I would drag my husband. He goes, "Oh, do we?" I go, "Well, I don't care. I'm voting whether you vote or not. I'm going to vote." He said, "How can you not vote?" And I think he was someone that didn't really vote before. I never really asked him that. So I said, I have the privilege of voting. I have a privilege of making my voice heard. And so I will be voting. And that was every year I voted, or rather every 4 years. Every time I could vote federally, I voted and I vote in the provincial elections as well, because I have a voice and my voice can be used. And so you have a voice and your voice can be used. And if you've noticed on Facebook, I've been using my voice a lot and a lot of it is pointing out stuff which can seem negative, but I see it as the contrast. The contrast for, okay, is this what you want? Or do you want to use your voice to have something better? So I'm using my voice to add to all the other voices out there, and hopefully to create a landslide for the biggest change that Canada's ever had the privilege of seeing since, let's say, World War II, perhaps. Yeah. Because when I was writing one day, what I got was like, this is our moment in time. This is an inception time for Canada. This is a time when we can, that will be as dramatic as, and maybe you would disagree with me, but as dramatic as Canadians landing on the beach in Normandy for democracy. That's what I got when I was writing. And perhaps David didn't see that, but that was like, because when I'm writing, I start out writing, I get given a phrase and I start to write, and then along the way, stuff just kind of pops in. And that popped in. I'm like, whoa. Okay, then. All right, then. So we're at the 30-minute mark. I'm going to do one last card to close this in, and one last card for Easter weekend for people that are with their families or hoping or wanting to be with family or missing their families or missing some loved ones that have passed on who are physically not around or too far away, that you can't physically hug them and touch them. So the card for everyone that's feeling that, and then it'll be a card for everyone that's feeling hopeful. Okay. For that, it's nurture yourself first. So this keeps popping up because it's so important. She's sleeping on a leaf with a flower bent over her. It's kind of like me the other day when I just walked in and said I'm going to bed and slept for 3 hours. So nurture yourself first this weekend. Then you can cook the dinner, make the ham or the roast or the scalloped potatoes. Do that. Nurture yourself so that you have the energy to emotionally and physically and mentally to do whatever you're going to do this weekend. Nurture yourself first. Okay, and then you can nurture your family, then you can nurture your friends, then you can nurture whatever community you decide you're supporting this weekend for. I know some of you do work out in the community, so nurture yourself first. Okay. And then the other card that I'm here in the bottom of the deck, make a plan. Oh, there's all sorts of arrows here, all sorts of places this couple could go. They're very much, their backs are to each other, but that's because they got it. They've got each other's backs. Oh, thank you. And so I hear that's Canada. We have each other's backs. We forget that. We've been reminded of that recently. We have each other's backs. And some will say, well, I don't want to have their back because yada, yada, yada. And others will go, I don't want to have their back because yada, yada, yada. Because people are different. Humanity is different. But what if we can have each other's back just because we're human? Just because we're human, right? So, but this is for you to make a plan for the weekend so you can nurture yourself, so you can have some fun. Look at all the possibilities there. There's so many possibilities. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And a star, 10. 10 Paul. And 10 is a great number. 10's new beginnings. And isn't that what Easter weekend is about, I think? New beginnings. I'm not terribly religious. Okay, so on that note, I'm going to say goodbye for now. Thanks for tuning in. And whenever you see this, drop a comment and enjoy your weekend. And remember to get out and vote. Remember to go for your joy. Okay, I'm out. Go for your joy. Bye-bye.